Hi, everyone. I'm Kim, and I'm here with Shira and Taras. Unfortunately, Lee and Juji couldn't be here with us today, but we are five friends, speakers, and professionals from different cultures, backgrounds, and age groups coming together to offer healing and inspiration. In part two of our discussion, we're going deeper into the one person who can upset us sometimes more than everyone in our lives combined. I'm guessing you might know who that is. Yes, talking about ourselves. Why do we find it so hard to forgive ourselves? That question may hold the key to why we find it hard to forgive others. Ladies, let's delve in.
Yeah, I want to say that I think what we talked about a little bit in part one was that whole modeling thing. I think when we're modeled, even small things that we don't let ourselves off the hooks for, or like if it was modeled for us, like if our parents were hard on themselves, sometimes even for small things, like that stuff like gets into your brain. Like if you're not seeing other people forgive themselves, forgive others, if that's not part of your upbringing, you just think that's the right way to be. Like, unless you start questioning things, which is what we're doing in this show. But I think that just seeing people hold on to resentment and anger is a big part of the problem, I think.
And it's why it needs to be taught in school, because if a lot of people aren't learning that growing up in their homes, I know I certainly didn't learn about anything self-love, self-care,
Yeah.
all of that, everything encompassing. I didn't learn anything like that at home. So I think it's so crucial for young kids to learn that in school so that they learn it somewhere. Like imagine having a class on forgiveness.
Yeah.
How life-changing would that be? How many empowered young children would grow up so full of confidence and self-love? You know, amazing to think of. It just gives me chills every time I think about that thought.
But think about how we teach like really young children things. Like we teach them the right things. Say please, say thank you, say I'm sorry if you hurt. Did you hurt little Jimmy? Like say I'm sorry. Like we're always like showing little kids how to do the right thing. But
Yeah.
somehow that just like it evaporates somehow.
Yeah,
What were you
but
gonna say?
but think about, there's no meaning to what we teach kids. We say it,
Yeah.
but we don't put it to the test, right?
Yeah.
So you could tell a kid, say please, say thank you, say I forgive you, whatever, but you're not telling them why. You're just telling them this is what we do because this is what society tells you to do,
Right.
because then you're a good person.
Right.
Right?
Right.
So now, if you don't have a good parent that's raising you and they're always telling you, say please, say thank you, what are you going to do as a child? You're going to rebel and you're going to go, please and thank you is stupid. And I'm not doing it. But
Right.
you do that because there's no real meaning behind it. So it's like
Yeah.
the same thing with forgiveness, right? If you're telling someone, okay, well, just forgive your brother, forgive your sister for bullying you or doing this or doing that. But why? Because that's what you have to do.
Yeah.
But why?
Right.
Right,
Right?
right, and it's important to that. As I mean, I'm not a parent, but I can imagine that as a parent telling something like that to their child, they have to model that behavior, like Shira was.
100%.
Yeah.
Right. So
Yeah.
now if you're telling your kid one thing, but they're seeing something else in the way that you act, they're just going to be confused
Totally. And that happens all day long. I
all
just
day
wanted to say
long.
something. I just have like an analogy in my head. I feel like I'm doing all these analogies like from last time, like go outside and look through the window at the chaos. But like one of the analogies that just popped into my head is it's kind of like if you hurt yourself and you get a bruise or like a gash, right? And then it's supposed to heal, right? It's supposed to like form a scar and then fall off. Like that takes time, right? A lot of times what we do to ourselves is we just like we don't let the thing heal and we don't let it scar over. We just keep freaking digging the gas like more and more and deeper, and then it just becomes like this way of life of like just being mean to ourselves. And like what you said in the intro, Kim, it's like if we can't forgive ourselves, if we can't fill in the blank ourselves, if we can't love ourselves, if we can't take care of ourselves, we can't fully do that for another person. And I think it's interesting that we're doing the ourselves part in part two, because it's really part one. Like, but I like that we flipped it, because that's the aha moment when you're like, oh wow, like I really don't let myself off the hook. Like I am really not forgiving of myself. And what does that even feel like? It's got to feel so fake if you're all of a sudden like, okay, Shira, I forgive you for all the stupid things you did and whatever. But it's like, you have to. You absolutely have to if you want to have a happy life.
Yeah. It's interesting you say that, because I think when I was in my 20s, I went through a rough run in my teens and my 20s. And I think like I finally kept on getting to a place where like there was a cement wall in front of me. Like I couldn't move forward. I couldn't move forward. And I think one day I was just like, why can't I move forward? And I knew that I was holding on to all of this, probably shame, probably guilt, of like everything that I allowed to happen to me.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think there was just this one point in my life, like even way before I started learning to forgive other people, for me, it was, you need to forgive not yourself, but everything that came in your path. Like
Mm-hmm.
it was meant to, for whatever reason, to structure you and to become the person that you are. So for me, it was, okay, I accept that this was just my calling. This was my path. This had to happen. So you're free now. Everything that held you back, like being abused or like putting yourself in really bad, unsafe situations,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, that's not who you are. It's just part of what happened. And I think for me, it was so easy for me, a couple of years back, to start forgiving people, because I had already forgiven myself for not making the right choices.
Yeah, it's like we just can't go back and change things. We just, I'm obviously stating the obvious, but how many of us just go there all the time and just replay the hurt and replay our own mistakes? And we keep pressing replay, rewinds and play and rewinds and play. And it's
Mm-hmm.
like, how's that working for you?
Yeah,
I
I just want to tell you this. I used to go to sleep every single night and replay my life. This is how I would go to sleep. I would replay my life of all the bad things that happened to me
Yeah.
every single night.
Yeah.
And I would wake up with that in the morning, and like, that's like really causing
Yeah.
havoc
Well,
in your
where's
mind.
the possibility there?
Yeah.
There's no
Like,
possibility.
hello.
well, and
It's so
Taris,
dangerous.
I look at it like, I mean, now I look at it this way, but like the things that you went through, you, I feel you were meant to learn lessons from those things and then allow those lessons to help set you free
Yeah.
from all of those,
Yeah.
toxins floating around in your body
Mm-hmm.
from holding on to that. And, maybe, I don't know what those lessons were. Maybe they were a lesson in forgiveness or lessons, in other things, but I just feel like there's something really important that you clearly learned from all of that, because you're not that same person today. You don't go to bed anymore making it mean all these sorts of things and holding on to, like you learned something from all of that.
Yeah. 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 I laugh now. Like, I'm like, oh God, I would never have a bad thought like that again. Like, it's just not worth it. Like,
Can I
there's
read,
nothing good in that space.
can I read you guys something that somebody posted on Instagram the other day?
Oh yeah.
Sure.
It's a quote. I know Shira loves quotes.
Yeah.
It says, and I thought this was interesting because I saw this, I think, last night, and I knew we were doing this recording today about forgiveness. Forgive yourself for not having the foresight to know what now seems so obvious in hindsight.
Oh,
Mm.
oh, I just got a little chill down that.
That's good,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, that's so good.
It really is about like just setting yourself free. Like,
Mm.
why hold on to all of these horrible emotions that only make you feel bad about yourself, completely compromise your immune system? I mean, like we talked earlier, uh, there's the emotional ways that it affects you, and then there's the physical and mental. It's all encompassing. And I just, the biggest thing for me, my biggest lesson in forgiveness for myself, because I have to be honest, I really struggle with this. I still do. I'm 44 and I still struggle with forgiving myself. And what I think for me, what helps is I have to constantly remind myself that I am worth forgiving. It's just a constant conversation that I
Yeah.
have with myself almost on a daily basis, that I'm doing my best, that I'm
Yeah.
smart, that I'm, being a good person, that I'm trying.
Loving and kind and sweet.
Yeah.
I'll just add all the adjectives. Yeah.
Well,
But
that's where your affirmations come in, right?
yeah, and for me, it's not like, I don't look in the mirror and say,
You are so
I am
beautiful.
so here. But I used to, and it really did, I think it helped to some degree on some unconscious level.
It
But now
helps.
it's just, I put Post-it notes up everywhere that just have little sayings. Um, yeah, there's one in front of my computer right here that just says, I am love. It's just a constant reminder. And there's one that says, I love and appreciate myself. And I have to surround myself with those reminders. I have to. Otherwise, my brain just runs the show, and I will, in a heartbeat, all of a sudden feel stupid, not enough. There's this not enough, not worthy theme in my life from when I was young. And
Yeah.
I'm sure a lot of people feel the same way in maybe different aspects, but it's just it's a recording. It's just a recording.
Yep.
And my brain likes to play back the tape
Mm-hmm.
constantly.
Mm-hmm.
And I just have to, you know what, a good analogy is like a garden. Like I call it my garden of love. And it's like I have to constantly pull out the weeds from the root. And they always grow back. Always. That's the nature of weeds. They grow back consistently. And I just have to keep pulling them from the root. And sometimes I let them grow a little too long. And then I find myself beating myself up, doing a job on myself, telling myself all these terrible things. And then I look at the Post-it, or I look at my garden. I have a garden. I will look at, like, I always have to remind myself, oh, I got to pull it from the weeds. I am all these beautiful things. I just have to keep reminding myself.
I just wanted to add to that, and that is that we've done a lot of the work on our journey, right? So we're like, we have certain awarenesses, but I think for people that are still mired in the, I can't forgive myself, like, I think sometimes that's why I love meditation so much, because seeing things out externally is just all this external stimuli, right? But if you close your eyes and you actually sit with, I love this phrase, sit with the shit. In fact, I have to write a song called Sit with the Shit. But I think that when you close your eyes, instead of going right to the affirmations and the I am beautiful, like, actually feel the shit. Like, feel the not forgiving yourself. Feel the holding on. Like, where is that in your body? Is it in your chest? Do you get headaches? Is it in your stomach? A lot of women get it in their stomach, like this not good enough, and why didn't I, and replaying all the stuff. Like, just feel it physically for a minute. You have to feel it before you can release it. So and sometimes you have to feel it for a really long time before you can release it. But I think that, and you don't want to stay with it. You don't want to go, oh yeah, this feels like shit, and like, ew, 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 ew. But just notice it and go, wow, I really am holding on to this. It's kind of like you look at a fist, like nothing can come in. Nothing can come in if your fist is closed. Like, just slowly start to open your hands and go, is there another way for me to think about all of this? And is this, because a lot of times from your quote, when we look back, we're like, wow, what a waste of time. But don't beat yourself up over it. Just go, thank God I have the awareness now. Thank God that I have it now, that I can move forward in a new way. But it's a process, and it's really hard sometimes.
Well, it's hard because sitting with the shit is so uncomfortable. That's why people self-medicate. They don't want to feel what they are feeling.
Yeah.
It's so uncomfortable. I mean, I feel uncomfort all the time. And I try, there are some days I sit with it and, wait for it to pass. And sometimes that takes more time than I like. And then there's other days where I just want to avoid feeling that way. I don't want to go there,
Yeah. So how do you help people who, hold on to so much resentment within themselves? They can't forgive themselves. They don't know how to move forward. They don't have the strength within themselves, push themselves, right, to like a better way of thinking. How do you advise people like that to start to make a change. Just, dabble.
I just, because I was just talking about it, I really think it's in the reminding, the constant reminding. So like if I have someone, I actually do have someone like that in my life, and I am constantly, not to a point where it's annoying or anything, but I'm just always trying to say things that can help them if they choose
Yeah.
to release themselves of that anger towards themselves. I remind them of what they really are here for, what they're like, how they are to me in life, or what kind of person they are. I feel like the thing is, we're all on our own journey. So if someone is going to choose to not do the work and just kind of sit in the shit all the time, like Shira said, and not let go and just keep like that their whole life.
Yeah.
There's nothing that I think we can do about that, but I think we can be a really good influence and remind them that they're a good person, that there's more to live for, that, ways that we all practice what's the tools in our tool. Give them ideas, just kind of help nudge them along a little bit, and just hope that you've planted some seeds, and that because it's that whole saying, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and that's what I'm thinking. Like, I have someone like that in my life, and I'm constantly trying to, encourage them, to really take care of their inner self. And it's like they listen and they say they're listening, but they never act on anything. And it's always back to the same story. And it's like years, and,
but that's because they can't, or they won't.
But also like we're actually having a conversation about how do we forgive ourselves. And that's your own personal journey with yourself. Like you can't make somebody else forgive themselves. You just can't. But one of the things that I wanted to say, because Taras, when you asked that question, like what are some of the things we can do? Sometimes I think back on being a child, right? Like I was a baby once. I was a year old, 2 years old, 3 years old, 4 years old. Like I didn't treat myself like that when I was a little kid. Like I fell down and I said something and I got up and just went to go play. Like, it's like, just, that's why I gravitate to kids so much, because they just get it. They get the whole living in the moment. They get the move on. I'm not saying every kid, I don't want to make a blanket statement, but there is something about our youth, our just being a little bit more carefree and curious, and I think that curiosity is something that needs to be the guiding force in our lives, because for as much as we think we know, for as much as we learn and all the awarenesses, there's so much more that we don't know. Like staying in the I don't know is such a beautiful, healthy thing, because you can never get rid of that. Like how many people do we know who was like, oh yeah, I know, don't tell me something I don't know, I know that already. It's like, all right, well, have fun in life.
That is so true though about curiosity. Curiosity really is key, because that's what sparks anybody's journey to, self-care, self-love.
Yeah.
It's being curious and having a small inkling of belief that there's something,
Right.
it shouldn't,
that there's something better.
We're here to feel joy. We're not
Here's
here
a good mnemonic device: stay curious, not furious. I just learned this in a training I did. Stay curious, not furious. How good is that?
That's good. That's really good.
Yeah.
I love it. T, earlier when you said you have this person in your life who you constantly, and I heard it in the word constantly, you're like, I constantly, like as if it was maybe not a burden, but like, yeah, you just rolled your eyes. So, okay. So it's definitely bothering you on some level. I think also, yes, they're on their own journey and there's only so much you can do as an outside person. But I think also that's another piece of acceptance and forgiveness that, like we said earlier, that, they can't, they emotionally can't do it. And I think that acceptance and that forgiveness, like with others or with ourselves, sometimes I can't get there. Sometimes I can't love me. And I'm finding acceptance for that on the days or the moments that I can't. It's
Yeah.
like, I need to just be okay with that instead of now hating myself because I can't.
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
And so that's just my current journey.
Yeah.
And I think we'll be on it. I think we'll be on our journeys forever. I don't think there's really an end to the journey, you know?
No, it doesn't, but we do have the power to empower others.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And I think that once we get to that level, we have really, and start making serious change, that's when we have risen.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
All the doing.
we will keep on making episodes for this show. And that's, you know, one way that we can help give back and empower others for sure. And ourselves. Because it all comes full circle.
And
This
might
is-
I also say that Kim's hair looks fabulous.
I was going to say that last time. I know. Well, I just want to say three very simple sentences. I forgive you. I'm sorry. And I love you. If you could say those three things, right, to yourself, I think there was maybe even a thank you in there or something, or like.
Oh, this is the, I can never pronounce it right.
Yeah, I mean, there's that, but there's also what I just said, which is just three very easy things to remember, like when you're in the struggle.
Yeah.
You know, just simple to yourself and move forward. And if you have to say it 5 times before you move forward, say it 5 times. If you have to say it 20 times before you move forward, say it 20 times. But
and also, how often do you say "I love you" to yourself?
To yourself, yeah.
Or "I forgive you." Like sometimes I need to put that on a Post-it.
Yeah.
I forgive you.
So I want to tell you that probably about 6 months ago, I started writing in my journal. Well, you know, I've been writing for a long time, but I just started 6 months ago in my journal. At the end of every single passage, I write, "I love you."
That's
to
so
myself.
sweet. I love that.
Right? Like, and you look at it and you smile. And then when you go back and you read it and you see that at the end, you just accept everything that you wrote, like as bad as it was or as good as it was. Like, you know what, after this shit today, or after this really awesome stuff today, or after the struggle, like, guess what? I still love you.
Right.
Right.
Aw, that's so sweet. I love that.
Ladies, I love you. And
I love you.
I
Best.
think that is a great place to wrap it up. What do you think? If you love our conversations, please click like and subscribe to our channel. Make sure you tell a friend and spread the word. And also let us know that if you have any comments or questions, or if there's a topic that you'd like to request, totally feel free to comment below. We'll see everyone soon. Stay safe.
Thank you. Love you. Have a good day.
Ciao.